here's Brody Brazil.
I am always prepared to get your feedback, like literally 24/7 at 833-4Brody. That's the phone number if you've got a question, a comment, a compliment, or even a critique. I literally listen to every single message, and then I get to play back and respond to the very best ones.
Hello, Brody. This is Dan from Georgetown, Kentucky.
Hey, Dan.
Firstly, thank you for your content. Thank you for your presence and how you handle your YouTube channel. As sports fans and sports content consumers, content wins. And most of us have found your channel organically through the things you have covered. We don't like being talked to like we're idiots. Really appreciate how you handle things. But today I get to ask you the dumb question, one that's been on my mind since seeing the numbers of the television ratings for baseball, World Series. A huge number domestically in the United States, 25 million people watching Game 7 compared to the NBA Finals. And for years and years, we've been told baseball is dying. We've been told that, it's a sport only followed by old men. And yet we see it post a number like that on a Saturday night going against college football.
That's right.
That's a huge number, Brody. I need to know, is baseball on the way back? And can we definitively say baseball is back to being the number 2 sport in the United States? I'll hang up and listen.
Dan, first off, thank you very much for the compliments. I'm glad you found the channel. I'm glad it's something that you enjoy. I don't intend on changing much over time, so that's good. But what you're bringing up with this phone call, and I'm so glad you called. I wanted to make a video about this, and when I saw your message, I was like, here's the perfect reason. Let's go for it. So many people right now are taking World Series ratings and doing the, hey, see, I told you so. Baseball is alive. Baseball's popular. Baseball is still number 2 behind football. And everybody, I think, realizes the NFL still king, has been for a while. Maybe at some point of our lifetime, baseball was number 1. And then football took over, and that's fine. But it's always like baseball and basketball. What's actually number 2? Look, basketball has done quite well in recent years. It has grown. The ratings are great. The TV deals are enormous. The team valuations have surpassed baseball by a certain and significant degree. So, it's really hard to compare here apples and oranges and say, well, just based on the Game 7 ratings alone, baseball is back and it's ahead of basketball. I want to dissect the Game 7 and the TV ratings from the NBA Finals of 2025, and in just a second, we'll go over the World Series. Let's talk about basketball first. This was June 22nd. It was on a Sunday, 8 Eastern, right? So kind of giving the whole country, the opportunity to watch this Game 7. Picked on a perfect night. We're not in football season. We're basically only in baseball season as the other major main sport. So not a lot of competition on June 22nd. Indiana at Oklahoma City. Now that also plays a factor here, the markets that are competing for the championship, right? Versus baseball. Toronto and Los Angeles, 2 different countries, 2 different coasts, 2 absolutely huge cities. More on that in just a second. But the Thunder win this game 103-91. So the competitors in the game matter to the ratings. Also the final score. If this was a blowout, I think people tune out. The average number goes down. The peak number isn't what it could be. But in this game, average viewership was, to your point, 16.4 million. And this was on ABC. I also should have included the networks that they were on. This was over the air on ABC. But the peak viewership of this game, right around the third quarter, was 19.2 million. So we'll go by the average number of 16.4 start to finish. This was the most watched NBA Finals game in 6 years. Now, we're not talking about the entire series here, just Game 7, the most watched single NBA Finals game in 6 years. Overall, the series did okay. Games 1 through 7 averaged 10.27 million viewers per game. But even that was down 9% from the prior year. But again, you had the Celtics and Mavericks playing in the finals. You had Boston and Dallas, 2 absolutely huge media markets, a lot of viewership, a lot of marquee players, and not to take anything away from Indiana or Oklahoma City, but it was just a different thing. And you understand why ratings were 9% higher the year before. Okay, so we're examining this. Let's capture this in our brain. 16.4 million viewers. It went to a Game 7. It was a close Game 7, relatively speaking. Wasn't a blowout. And it was a pretty good rating for an NBA final contest. Compare that to the 2025 World Series Game 7. Now, this was on a Saturday night. This was directly going up against college football. And honestly, Halloween weekend, there's a lot of people doing a lot of things and parties, and maybe they're not exactly all in front of a television set, but also an 8 Eastern start. Los Angeles and Toronto. 2 countries, 2 huge markets, 2 coasts. The Dodgers win this game, of course, in extra innings 5-4, which also amplify the ratings. And how about the back and forth of all the games leading up to this? We'll talk about that in just a second, too. Like, this series came with some inherent drama. Look, any series that goes to 7 and it's winner take all, like, there's some back and forth to it. But this one especially had a lot of tension, a lot of buildup, and a lot of conversation going into this Game 7. The average viewership of Game 7 was 25.45 million on Fox. I should also declare, the ratings you just saw for basketball did not include Canadian viewership because there wasn't anything extravagant to discuss. Like, there was no Canadian viewership mark that was very significant to the conversation. But here there obviously is. Peak viewership in the United States. Those 2 numbers are United States alone, 25 million and 31.5 million. Peak in the United States at 11:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Add to that, right? Add to that Canadian viewership, which on average of this game was another 10.9 million. Is the entire population of Canada like between 35 and 40 million? So we're talking about 1 in 3 or 1 in 4 Canadians on average were watching the entire game. And the Canadian peak was 14 million. So I think you can say that a high amount of Canadians were watching, if not half the country, if not a majority of the country. I don't know all the demographics and TV sets and how they do it, but add 25 million plus another 11 million, and that gets you to an even more ridiculous number. We're only talking about the U.S. numbers. Just understand that the Canadian viewership added to that. The series averaged 12.4 million per game in the United States, another 7.5 million Canadians watching every single game. You add that number up and you're talking close to 20 million compared to even last year. The 2024 World Series had the Yankees and Dodgers, the 2 biggest American markets, and 15.8 million on average. It was a shorter series, maybe had a little bit less of the back and forth, but even that was the highest World Series average viewership since 2017. So 15.8 million last year and about 20 million when you add in the United States and Canada this year. So it was way up, and for obvious reasons. Look, baseball gave us a great series. Here's what I want to say. I'm not really doing takeaways in this video, but here are the overall points that I want to make regarding the Game 7s between baseball and basketball in this calendar year. First off, when we talk about TV viewership and ratings, we should never interpret television ratings as an exact science. I used to work in old school linear television, and we pump out a signal, right? We broadcast it over the air, we put it out on a cable system, we put it up on a satellite system. How do we actually know what you're watching, how long you're watching it for, when you tuned away? How do we know that? It's not here like YouTube where they can see every view. They know when you tuned in, they know when you stopped watching, they know what you clicked on next. There's that two-way flow of information. I have never, ever, ever trusted television ratings or numbers as an exact science. Does it give you an idea? Absolutely. Am I thinking that a lot more people watched Game 7 of the World Series than the NBA Finals? Yes, I am. But I'm here to say that these numbers could be skewed in the millions. Either way, maybe baseball was even more popular than basketball. I'm just here to say, don't always trust these old school ratings numbers. They can't be calculated accurately. They never have been. The World Series simply had more buildup and drama and tension. It had two countries, it had two coasts, it had two huge markets. How could we compare that to the Indiana Pacers and the Oklahoma City Thunder? And good for basketball for having those two teams make it to the NBA Finals, and the Thunder for winning the Larry O'Brien Trophy. Good for them. A small market can do well in the NBA. But this is just a totally different situation. I do want to say this. People still love baseball. That's what I learned from the 2025 World Series. It wasn't about gambling or prop bets or over-unders. People wanted to talk about the plays and the replays and the reviews and the rules and the strategy and the performances and the Yamamotos and the Vlad Juniors and the Otanis. Like, that's the stuff they wanted to talk about. People do love baseball. Baseball is not dead, but on a daily basis, over a longer term, like, NBA teams are still valued higher. NBA teams and their metrics and social media and how many people are watching more regular season games, their metrics are bigger. You can slice this any way you want. Like, we're looking at just a microcosm of Game 7s. Their Game 7 versus this Game 7. Okay, that's fine, and I agree. Like, Baseball dominated basketball, and it was maybe a surprise to some, but also reassuring and refreshing to others. I'm here to say that if you step back and look at the bigger picture, basketball is still bigger than baseball. Now, it's not to say that that's never going to change. I'm telling you right here, people still love baseball. It's an MLB problem to solve. Does the season need to be shorter? Does baseball need to be a little bit more in the forefront of media and attention and getting its players more active on social media and doing podcasts and being more like the basketball community? They're out there a little bit more. The basketball community and product is a little bit more modern. So I get it. We're fully acknowledging baseball did better in its Game 7 than basketball did. But on the bigger scale and the bigger picture, baseball is not number 2. You can disagree with me on that. You can say it can compete to be number 2. I'll agree with that, but as of right now, it's still not number 2. I get why people are saying, did it win? It won the battle. I don't know that it's won the war. I hate that reference, but that's probably the best way to put it. It won Game 7, but it's not winning in the overall situation of still being number 2. Again, that's up for conversation. It's up for debate. Let me know what you think about that in the comment section below. Also, thumbs up while you're down there helps me, this video, and this channel. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I would love to see you back here next time.